almost 3 months into the position, and probably 2 months before that, as I started looking at data and analyzing the system and just determining what's the current state, what's the desired state, and where do we need to go as part of that process. And so our cabinet members have looked at all sorts of data, the community meetings that they had as part of the superintendent surge, data in and of itself, student attendance data, finance data, every kind of data that you can imagine, and really beginning to paint the picture of where do we want to be in the next 4 to 5 years. So our current strategic plan had expired. We're in the process of developing the 25 to 29 4-year strategic plan. And so today's presentation is really looking at the strategic priorities that we've established and where we want to go. And so the first thing that I want to share with you, and we're not necessarily from the business sector, but I just want you to take a look at these keywords. Some of those are very familiar to us in our education world, and for people that have sat in sessions from the business sector, they can totally relate. And so when we look at each of these words, what I say is Victoria ISD, I think of it as a business. We're running a very, very strategic business, and we have 13,000 clients that we serve. They range in age from 3 to 18 plus, and not 2 of them have the same identified needs. So all our products and services have to be tailored to 13,000 students, and we love that. We also have 2,400 staff members that help support our work across the district, 21 schools with 4 specialized campuses, and 126 years in operation. So there are many years of vision and tradition that come with this work. Now, the 90% is written there, and I want you to think about, is Victoria ISD a very small, medium, or large district in your mind? If you know the answer.
What?
Is Victoria ISD small, medium, or large? What would you say?
Medium.
Medium? Okay. So we're actually larger than 92% of the school districts. I wrote 90 on there just simply because of growth in some areas. We may be changing in rank, but we're one of the top largest school districts. And that comes, as we say, with a lot of responsibility for 13,000 students. The average size district is about 800 students, just to put that in perspective for you. Many of them are very, very small. So what we know to be true is that a strong Victoria, and we've been working with the EDC to really recruit businesses to this area. A strong Victoria is very contingent upon strong schools, and that's what we want. So we have some schools that are doing very, very well. We have other schools where there are opportunities for improvement, and what we want to see is, as a whole, as a district, that trajectory begins to change, and that we see all schools performing at highest levels, because we know that all 13,000 students then are sitting in classrooms with strong schools. So our state system is the A through F system. We have not had accountability scores in the last 3 years simply because of lawsuits that are pending. If we go back and we look at where the district would be, we would be in the C range. Our goal is that we are a high B, an A ideally, and in the next 4 years, that's where we want to be for sure. Our North Star goal, as we think about it, is moving beyond STAR. It's not simply about STAR, it's how do we create a system where every single one of our students progresses from grade to grade, on grade level, mastering the knowledge and skills that they need so that they graduate college, career, military, and citizenship ready. What we heard loudly from the community is this whole notion of discipline, and I have some data that I'll share about whether it's a big issue or a small issue. It's smaller than we think. However, working around discipline and citizenship readiness is one of our big targets. So our strategic planning process is really centered around this whole notion of excellence. I know that the district, and many of you have been here, has been working with the term genius And so I'll talk in a little bit about how we're shifting from genius to excellence and why. So our core beliefs are really those central ideas and values that ground us as a school community. And we went back and looked as a cabinet at all of our belief statements, and there were a lot of them. And my question to cabinet was, can we, if I go from school to school, from parent to parent, community member to community member, identify what our core beliefs are? And there were a lot of core belief statements, and so we began to narrow them down to basically say we in VISD, one, value people. We can't do the work without strong people. We are people-centric, people-centered. We are about igniting learning, whether it's adult learners, student learners, that's our priority is. We are a learning organization. We stay student-centered. Every decision we make is based on what's right for students, and we deliver excellence. So we see that word begin to thread. You're going to see it popping up as we go through. We are about delivering excellence. In whatever way, whatever program we're looking at, that's the bar. Our vision is achieving excellence for all, and for me, all means all. Every single student, every day. And then the mission is about providing rigorous and relevant learning and life experiences so that students compete positively in society. So when our students leave Victoria, they are going to be competing with every other district across the state, across the nation in some instances. We want to make sure that they're prepared to compete at the same levels. And then this document, if you're from VISD, probably looks familiar to you. It was the portrait of a graduate, and we began retooling that to make it fit this whole notion of the portrait of excellence. And thinking about the graduate, that's our end in mind, because we always begin with the end in mind. And we also said that this is also the portrait of excellence for every staff member and every student. And so each one of these circles that you see communicates effectively, thinks critically, embraces challenges, desires to learn and understand, values people, and assumes responsibility. As we roll this out, we will be talking to staff as well. This is the portrait of a staff member, because when we model those expected behaviors, students emanate exactly that. And you're going to see the tagline that excellence begins with me. Whether I'm a student, I say that. Whether I'm a staff member, I say that. A parent, I say that. Excellence begins with each one of us, and collectively we begin to change the system. One more, and then I'll take a quick, let's think about things. So this other one was Victoria ISD leading towards a genius. And in talking to staff members, campuses, etc., it was really shifting the word genius to think about excellence, because the feedback was that excellence is easier to think about and understand. And so we see excellence threaded throughout this document, and it's about connecting to excellence, growing in excellence, and reaching for excellence. And each one of those indicators at the bottom describes what a leader does. When we talk about leader, we're talking about the adult leaders in this campus, in this district, all the way to leadership, teacher leaders, student leaders, etc. Leadership is the big thread. So let me do a quick pause, because I've said a lot. Questions from any of you? No? All right, so we have a principal here and another assistant principal here. What we've done is we've started to roll this out as a district, and then we gave principals the information. They started rolling out at the campuses as well to get feedback. What resonates with you? What are the strengths? And then what are your recommendations from this strategic plan as well? So they're beginning to submit that information to us. We did it at the district level. We're doing that with departments, and then the community level to gather feedback from the community as a whole. So the 5 strategic priorities were developed as a result of all of this data, all of this feedback to really guide our work the next 4 years. This first one is around exemplary student outcomes, and we strategically place that one first because that's what our work is about. And when we think about this one, it's about ensuring that we have a strong start and a strong finish for every student. Start meaning in the early grades, we're starting strong, and all the way through, they progress through the system, meeting the expectations, and end with a strong finish when they graduate. What we know to be true is that we needed a literacy framework and consistency with reading language arts across the district, starting in our lower grades all the way up. We have some students that are 2 to 3 grade levels below in their reading, and this was a priority for us. So a strong reading, writing program with clear research-based strategies that are developed and incorporated in every classroom across the district. The same with numeracy on the mathematical side. Developing the same thing, a K-12 literacy or numeracy program in mathematics that does exactly the same thing. Why those two? Because what we know is reading and math and the writing incorporated in there are the two disciplines that affect every other discipline in the system. Then the next one was about creating and implementing systems that eliminate performance gaps among student groups. When we look at our student groups, bilingual ESL, special ed, etc., there is a clear gap between the all students and those student groups. We want to close those gaps so that all students are performing at high levels. We want to perform at or above the state averages in each tested content. Right now, we're trailing behind the state in almost every area, and grade every area and every grade. And so we want to make, the first target for us is state level performance. And then clearly that's not the only target. That's a very soon target for us. That's where we want to be real soon. And then increase those percentages as we go in a 4-year trajectory. Ensure students graduate with their cohort and achieve their AND. Graduating with their cohort means when they enter 9th grade, that they receive the required credits to graduate in 4 years with their peers. And we know the state looks at 4-year, 5-year, and 6-year graduation rates. What we want to make sure is our students are graduating in 4 years. We have a very high graduation rate right now at 97%. The state's at 90, just above 90. So it's significantly high. We want to keep that. And then achieve their AND. You know that that's the vibe in VISD is they graduate with their cohort and they either are college ready and receive their AND, meaning an industry-based certification to accompany that. We want to increase overall attendance, and we were looking at that data this morning at Cabinet. We're 1% up from last year, and so we're starting a 30-day call to action to make sure that we get those attendance rates up even higher before the end of the year. And so that's one of our initiatives right now. And then decrease chronic absenteeism. It's those students who are consistently chronically absent and targeting those. Expanding and improving dual credit and advanced placement programs and including associate degree options. So dual credits, right now we have students that are receiving dual credits, not the number that we would like, so we want to increase those numbers and also create some sort of recognition system where if a student gets 3 hours in either reading or math, English or math, one of those two, there's an accolade for that. If they get 9 hours, 12 hours, 15 hours, all the way to the 42 core, and ideally with associate's degrees. Last year we had 2 students receive associate's degrees. We want to see that increase over time. And then advanced placement programs, we have a lot of students in AP classes. We want to make sure that they're passing their exam with a 3 or higher so that they also receive that accolade. So this is the gist of the exemplary student outcomes. We believe that with these performance outcomes and these strategies, that we will take VISD to the next level. This is going to be the beginning of that impetus for change. Questions about that? Or those? I see you thinking.
Well, I have a sophomore who wanted to do the dual credit to work towards his associate when he started, and I didn't know that that was an option. He got a mixed message from someone somewhere. So it is possible for them to get an associate's degree now?
If he has the 60 credits, yes.
Okay, because he was told that that wasn't an option, that he could work towards it, but he couldn't graduate with it. So I was confused as to where that.
If you'll connect either with Tammy or me, one of us will support you with that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
All right, so how are we going to do that? There's a couple of big strategies that we're going to use. The first one is the academic playbook, and the second one is identifying very clear and focused instructional priorities that we're developing and rolling out at the beginning of the year. The academic playbook is this. There are 8 components to that. It starts with very strong academic leadership teams, principal, assistant principal, instructional coaches, what they do every week to assess their campus and move the work together. And then school plans. We know we have campus plans. This is about developing very strategic goals in a 1 or 2 page document that identifies where do we want to be in English language arts, in mathematics, science, social studies, attendance, discipline, etc. So this school plan is very, very strategic and helps keep us on track, so the academic leadership teams revisit that regularly to figure out where are we in relation to those goals that we set. Vetted and aligned diagnostics. I know those of you that are with us know that we started TFAR this year. So yeah, so that was a big initiative on the CNI part, and TFAR really provides students exposure to those vetted diagnostics, but also the CFAs and anything else that we do to align student learning to assessments that tell us the degree to which they're mastering those knowledge and skills. And it goes all the way around. Robust data systems, knowing our power standards. Rigor is a big one here. Are we teaching at the expected level of rigor, and how do we know? And then intentional instructional planning. If you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. And then lesson execution and student supports, observation and feedback loops, and it comes all the way around. So principals have already seen this as it's been rolled out. We are dabbling in some of that as we start over the summer, especially at our admin renewal is when we're going to dig deep and talk about each one of those components and how we're going to utilize them, how we're going to assess them. So this one just gives us a framework for that. For each of the systems and processes on the left, what are the key actions and what results do we expect to see? So this really is our playbook, how we will operate. So you see the playbook, the literacy framework I talked about, the numeracy framework, expanding CTE programs of study. We're going from 18 or 19, I think it's 18 to 23. I know we're going to 23. So we're adding additional programs of study. We also realigned some of the courses to make sure that the coherent course sequence were more aligned. And then looking at the certifications for every single program of study. What are those certifications that are available? Dual credit, AP, associate's degrees, rigor, relevance, and engagement. So we'll be looking probably at Schlechter's levels of engagement. And then focused acceleration. How do we accelerate those students that are doing well? What kind of interventions do we need to provide for students who are struggling? And then what kind of support systems are in place for every single student across the district? This is a little bit sneak peek of our how. Every department, Tammy Shestock and her team are developing the academic portion of this, and we have different bigger plans that we're working on. Questions about anything here? I see you excited. So,
Yes.
all right, strategic priority number 2 is around empowered staff. We know that research tells us over and over the quality of the teacher dictates student success. Tells us over and over. So what we want to make sure is that we have a highly effective workforce, not just certified, but that every single classroom has a highly effective teacher standing in front of those students. This is about expanding and improving recruitment and retention strategies, attracting and retaining people. And we know here that part of the retention is ensuring that our salaries are where they need to be, That's one of our big priorities as well. So we're looking at a couple of strategies to address that, and I'll talk about those at the end. Increased capacity through aligned PD learning opportunities. You may have seen in the Advocate recently, the big launch. It was probably in size 500 font letters, and it was really about that. And then it said, administrators will have no summer, which wasn't what it was intended to say. Basically, what we were saying was we have a plan for professional development this summer that will be rigorous and engaging. And then the last one is ensuring that we have recognition processes to affirm staff as valued members of our people-centered organization. We are about people. You can't do this work without people. So empowering our staff, and I'm going to tie this back to where I started, is everyone's a leader here. So how do people assume leadership roles? The third one is around safe and innovative learning environments. This one is around safety as it exists, school safety, and then discipline and citizenship readiness. And then the last one is about ensuring that we have innovative learning environments and pathways in all classrooms. So it extends beyond what we know when we talk about innovative, the Chromebooks. It's about how are we incorporating the kind of technology that aligns with the industry or aligns with that coursework. So science probes, graphing calculators, just anything that's tech related that would advance and connect students. Questions about this one? So here we talked about citizenship readiness. We're not going to focus on the discipline part of it. We're going to focus on citizenship readiness. And we've created these 10 VISD values. Excellence is the very first one because excellence is our thread. And then we have respect, honesty, perseverance, gratitude, responsibility, courage, integrity, accountability, and law abidance and civic duty. So whether you're an adult or you're a student, these are the 10 VISD values that we expect. We're going to have a pledge statement at the very beginning of this that addresses attendance and all those other things that we recite over and over. And then the VISD values will be everywhere. We will all know them by November of next year because they're going to be in buses, classrooms, campuses, businesses, everywhere you go. Hopefully the home refrigerator. And it's everyone aligning ourselves to ensure that we're addressing these values and holding ourselves accountable, holding students accountable to that. You're going to see them in the employee handbook, student code of conduct, everywhere. This is what we expect of every student. So William, tell me what you think about the 10 VISD values.
I think they're very, they have a lot of resemblance to the Scout values, and I think that those are both very good values for your daily life and especially your school life.
Absolutely. So you see that connection already to your Scout values. What specifically would you say?
Respect is word for word one of them. I know courage is one of them. Excellence has equivalent. Perseverance has its own equivalent in there too. There are a lot of connections between them.
If you were rolling this out to students, how would you do it? What would you say? What should we do as adults?
Make a game of it somehow. Encourage them to learn it and to memorize it, and maybe give them a reward or something.
So creating systems, right, where we introduce it and reward it. Introduce it and reward. Awesome. Anyone else have another question for William before we go on? We're going to engage you. All right, so those are our 10 VISD values. The next one is around authentic partnerships, and we have a lot of partnerships already. We've created a master list of them. We have people that donate either monetary donations, time, products, goods, services, those kinds of things. We also want to shift the narrative just a little bit to talk about partnerships that also benefit students. Last week I was with Caterpillar. Tomorrow I have a meeting with the VEDC because one of their suppliers wants to start a work-study program with us, just like they did in their, I believe it was Illinois, in an Illinois plant. And so that's one, and we have several others that want to come to the table and create work-based type internships, et cetera, for our students. And that's really the big goal, is how do we ensure that we're expanding partnerships that do that. And then the last one is about utilizing communication systems that are collaborative, timely, proactive, and consistent to meet the needs of all stakeholders. Ashley does an amazing job of communicating in every platform that you can think of. We're out there, whether it's Facebook, I forgot, LinkedIn, I've seen just different places. We also know that not everyone has social media, and so we're creating print publications. The first one is going to campuses. You probably got your email already. The first one's going to campuses already to go out, but we're going to do a fall, winter, spring print publication and an annual report at the end of the year so that we communicate to our constituents and our stakeholders how we're doing. And the first one is already getting ready to go out. The last one is around operational excellence. So this is short-term and long-term planning that comprehensively anticipates and addresses district needs and maximizes resources. Here, what we're talking about primarily is financial management, our fiscal resources, and then facility management as well. And I know that facilities, it has been a long-standing concern, issue, need in the district. And so what we're looking at is we're waiting on the legislature, because we know that it's a funding year, to decide what our funding will be, how our basic allotment will change, what other funding they're going to give us, special ed, et cetera. And we've also started a personnel right-sizing plan, and I'll talk about that in just a little while. So there's a lot of pieces that we're looking at right now on the financial side. On the facility side, I'll explain in just a minute the kinds of plans that we're putting together to address all those. So, talked about those two. So this is the planning process that we've been using. We have developed in draft the VISD 25-29 strategic plan. That's what we're talking about. 5 very clear strategic priorities with some very clear strategies and actions that we're using. From there, we're going to develop the 5 board goals that parallel and complement each one of those. We have our VISD action plan in draft form already, and I'll show you the first page of that. From there, we take it to the department plans. What will Tammy and her Shestak and her team do? And every one of the big departments is already working on their department plans. Then we'll pull back, take all those strategies to develop the district plan, and then the campus plans unfold from there. So there's plans of plans of plans, and they're all aligned the way we see them. So this is our action plan. So up there at the top, you see strategic priority number 1, exemplary student outcomes. You see our performance outcomes that go with those. What are our strategic actions? What are our KPIs, key performance indicators? And then how will we measure progress? Timelines, who's responsible, and all that, like you see in a district and campus plan, are embedded in the department plans as we start rolling those out. This is just the first page of about a 9-page document, I believe. So we have 6 priority plans that we're working on. The academic improvement plan takes everything academic around student outcomes, and it's our focused academic plan, really gets embedded in our district and campus plans with very, very strategic personnel right-sizing plan. So what are we doing? There's a team of 5 of us that are working at the central office level, looking at every single position, and we are not doing a reduction in force, a RIF. What we're doing is right-sizing for people that are retiring, for people that are moving. We have one secretary, for example, that's going into the bridge program. So as people are shifting positions, we are not replacing those and realigning positions to make it match. And so we are currently at about 1.8 million, almost 1.8 million in savings right there. And so what we want to see is, how do we take that money? We had a deficit budget last year. This year we will develop a balanced budget. We already know that's going to be true. And how do we continue to look at every single position and make sure that we're maximizing all our resources? And what I'm doing is, we're starting at central office because we're going to model how we need to work with minimum resources at maximum capacity, because that's what we do. Facilities improvement plan, we have 8 binders of all the facility needs. We're taking all of that information, and we have a 2-page document that details out for the next 75 years where the replacement cycles need to fall. So when do roofs need to be replaced for all of those? When do HVAC systems need to be replaced? So that the public begins to see that in this specific year, we have this many items that need to be replaced, whether it's roof, HVAC, flooring, etc. What's not in that plan are other things like furniture, capital outlay, those kinds of things, because those have to be replaced over time as well. And so we're putting those in a replacement cycle plan. Our buses, our white fleet, furniture, all of that goes in the replacement cycle plan so that we see from year to year how do those replacements happen. The replacement cycle plans were in little departments, and so we have pooled all that together to say we're going to centralize that so that everyone knows this is what it's going to cost us from year to year. It's transparency internally and transparency externally as we roll that out. Contract management plan or system is also in place, and we're going to roll that out in March with the board so that they see that. What we did is all the departments that had contracts with different vendors, everyone was managing themselves. There wasn't a centralized system where we could see all the contracts, and I mean contracts like with Microsoft, with different vendors, not teacher contracts or employee contracts. So we centralized those, and the system is powered through Power BI. It sends an email to the contract manager a few months before the contract expires and tells you, Ms. Koyasu, your contract with Microsoft is expiring in 6 months. Start the negotiations with them. So we either negotiate with them to bring the prices down. We identify whether it's a need or not. If we don't need it anymore, we're not going to renew it. And the other one is there another vendor that we could use that we get the same services at a reduced cost? I did this in my other district. I was overseeing finance for about 10 months because we didn't have a CFO. In the 10 months, we saved $500,000 by doing that, just pulling it together. When it's right in front of you, it's very different than when everybody's managing it separate. And then our citizenship ready plan is the plan that we're going to roll out every campus across the district with parents on citizenship readiness, the discipline, if you will. So we've been very busy, very busy. I'm a little more than 60 days into the job. Acquired the most amazing team, I tell them all the time. And we are working the work. We've been super busy. And this is going to be our year.
Yeah.
This is going to be our year.
Yeah.
Sachi, I like your hand.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm going to speak to her. She has a girls club, and I would say like women empowerment sort of, and I get to speak to them the week after spring break, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, very excited, yes. Trying to just, like you said, being that leader, and how do we empower girls
That's it.
to lead.
That's it.
And
Everyone has the potential to lead, right, William? That's right. So this is where we're going, in a nutshell, in a big nutshell, because there's a big nutshell. Questions, comments,
It's just,
feedback?
as a teacher, this is like my 32nd year teaching, I can tell you that it is invigorating. I feel like this is like my first year teaching, again, the first year vibes, and you just get all nervous and tingly inside, because it's exciting to see that goal and to be so transparent to say, okay, you know what? It's just not K Middle School or West High School. This is literally VISD, and the goal is always the same, to get this little, you said the 3-year-old, the end goal is to get them to graduate. That is the goal.
Yep.
And so what are we doing as teachers, as admin or whatever, to get them there, because that is our goal. So this is so exciting to see everybody united, and all the arrows are going in the same direction.
Yes.
Because like you explained that all these arrows, you know, with that contract management plan, and you said you put everything together, it just, that in itself, arrows are going here, nope, not, we're just streamlining. So
That's the word that we've
exciting.
used, exactly, right? Streamlining.
For sure.
So thank you for that.
Anyone else?
I like the shift, citizenship readiness,
Yes.
as opposed to discipline, because it always just gets such a bad rap, and handling a lot. It's just how we frame it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kids live up to the expectation, and I've always said, and if you're a teacher, you probably know of Ruby Payne. She always talked about how kids learn 2 sets of rules, and they know that when they're in school, these are the rules and this is how we do business here. And that's basically what we do, is we say, these are the expectations around these 10 values, and we hold you accountable for that. And you hold me accountable for that, right? We all hold each other accountable.
No, which is kind of cool, because those expectations are exactly what we have in our classroom. But now it's just like in the classroom, it's district-wide now.
It's gonna be everywhere.
Everywhere. There was this admin that he would say ad nauseum. They're going to say it all the time, all the
Yes.
time, all the time.
Yes.
They're going to memorize it. They're going to shout it out. They're going to cheer for it, whatever it is. But it's
That's
got to
right.
be there.
That's right.
Yeah. Exciting.
So we're excited. I'm excited. I'm the first one to get in line. I'm going to do whatever it takes, roll up my sleeves, get right in there with the work, because we do whatever it takes, because every single kid matters. Every kid matters. And when we do that, when we come together, we can accomplish so much. I've been out in the community just everywhere, Chamber of Commerce, Lions Club, Rotary Club, everywhere. Tomorrow night I have another one, just talking about all this, and people have just rallied around it. People are ready to just come together to support it. When we share a clear vision, when we talk about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, people get in line with us, and they are. And I tell them, I'm the first, come hold my hand and let's go side by side. Let's make it happen.
I think that's important as a parent, that we're clear.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that that's something that I'm speaking as a parent. I've got 2 kids in DISD, and I think that that is so important. I think as a parent, I've talked to people at, at my son's campuses, and sometimes it's not always been clear. And so I think that's a huge, huge thing for us.
Right.
So that'll be amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Mercer, Ms. Pruitt, anything y'all want to add before we?
I think you've done a great job. I told the group last time at PAL last week that she says she's been on the job for a little over 60 days, but in reality, she's started this job even before she even interviewed for it. I'm not going to get, she knows this district. She studied this district long before she started here. So we feel that that we're in great hands. Otherwise, we would not entrust you in anyone less hands. No 2 ways about it. We are obviously very thankful for anyone that's here tonight that has come to be a part of this. We are excited as a board to move forward with each and every single one of you as community members and staff members. But obviously, any feedback that you have, I think she's got a slide on here that's going to have a QR code.
Yep.
Feel free to include your questions and answers. I think we even have some forms that you can write questions on as well. Please feel free to get those in. I've said it before, when it came down to finding the right superintendent, this community did an amazing job having their voice heard, giving us suggestions, and we don't expect anything less from you on this as well. Thank y'all again for being a part of this.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Mr. Mercer.
So without divulging a whole lot of the process of interviewing, this is definitely the way we wanted her to move us. And so seeing her actual plans and her strategies and doing all the things that she's presented here is what we were looking for. You know, someone to move us in a different direction, to start anew, to start something that would hopefully make a difference for our students. And she's very student-centered, and I really, really am excited for that and for our kids.
And change is hard for people. Because I remember learning this acronym forever ago, TAWADI. Don't be a TAWADI. That's the way we've always done it.
Oh.
It's like, no, that's because just because we've always done it, we've got to move, we've got to change.
Yes.
Change is a good thing.
Yeah,
Change is good. So don't be a TAWADI.
that's it.
That's it. I'm sorry, you're going to say that again. TAWADI.
I came from a system that was, when I got there, all campuses were AU at the time. We didn't have A through F. We had, all of them were AU. The last one was on the verge of going AU. And in 3 years, we had turned that around, and we were A-rated, District of Distinction in a number of different ways, Gold Ribbon Schools, National Blue Ribbon School. National Blue Ribbon, basically there's 30 campuses across the state that get that distinction out of thousands. We got that. I mean, just a lot. And so that's the vision that I have for Victoria, because I believed we could do it where I was, and I believe we can do it here. Everyone has to believe it, and we have to align ourselves with acting, thinking and acting that way, because it starts with culture. Culture is how we think and act. We have to change culture and shift that, and we will. We're going to do it. All right, so you have this, 2 options for you. If you want to do QR, that you have that, or Ashley has little cards. Basically, there's 2 different prompts on there. We just want some feedback from you so that we know, are we heading in the right direction? Do you have some other recommendations for us, etc.? We know it's been a long day. It's only Monday, but we thank you for being here with us, that's for sure. Everyone's voice is important, and William, your voice is important too, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know we're trying.